Hello students, welcome to the online class once more. So till now I have been teaching you prose and poetry, and today I have picked up grammar, right? And in grammar today we will learn voice. Okay, what a voice is, very important. But before learning voice, we must have very clear concept on certain things like verb, subject and object, tense, then types of sentence, right? So verb is a very important part of grammar. Without verb, it is nearly impossible to make sentences, to express your feelings, right? To express your feelings and all these things. So verb, and in grammar there are different types of verb. Okay, now see, we have auxiliary verbs, we have modal verbs, we have then transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. These are important. Then we have this non-finite verbs, finite verbs. Now non-finite and finite, they're bigger division. Okay, finite verb, all verbs are finite verbs which so work in time. Okay, we should not go to this finite and unfinite. Now we must go into this matter, finite and non-finite, while learning types of sentence according to structure, that is simple, complex and compound. Then we will do these things. But here let us see transitive and intransitive verb. Now see, transitive and intransitive verb, subject and object, these two things are related. When a sentence has an object, mind it, okay, when a sentence has an object, it is called transitive verb. When a sentence does not have an object, it is called intransitive verb, right? And now see, let us take an example of each. Okay, first, transitive verb. He plays football. Here he is the subject, plays is the verb, that is finite verb, football is the object. Okay, so what comes after the verb is object. What comes before that we will learn while discussing subject and object. Now here we have the object, that is he plays football. Football is the object. So the verb plays is transitive in this sentence. He plays football. Now if I say he plays only, he plays, I don't know what he plays, but he plays, then there is no object, and in that case the verb is intransitive. That means it does not have the object here, right? So that is transitive and intransitive. And why we are discussing transitive and intransitive verbs? Because an active voice can be changed to a passive voice if it has an object, right? That is, if the verb is transitive. Okay, whether the verb is hidden or it is there in the sentence doesn't matter, but it must have the verb the object, right? That is, it must be transitive. In some sentences, the verbs are hidden. Sorry, the object is hidden. The verbs are there, the objects are hidden in some sentences. Then what happens? We need to find out the object. Then it becomes possible for us to change the active voice into the passive voice. So that is important here. Transitive and intransitive verbs. Sometimes, intransitive verbs also can be changed to passive voice given that the object is known but not mentioned. Okay, that we will discuss while learning voice. You will get to know these things. Then let us come to subject and object. Now you students of class 9, so you have already some idea, if not most, okay, some idea about subject and object, particularly basic ideas, right? What is a subject? Simply, in simple language, subject is that from where an action starts. Okay, an action starts, or about which something is said. Now these are two things. A subject is that from where an action starts, number one. Number two, about which something is said. Now let us see these things. He works hard. He works. The act works hard. Your action is working. So he is the subject. The action starts from he. Or let us take another example. He plays football. The action play starts from he. So he plays football. He is the subject. Okay. Now this is about action. Now something said about that. Rita is a beautiful girl. So something is said about Rita. What is it? That she is a beautiful girl. So here again we find that the subject is Rita. So two things. From where an action starts and about what something is said. That is subject. And now let us go to object. What is an object? Now you just think it the other way. The object is that where an action ends. Subject is that from where an action starts, and object is that where an action ends. Okay. Let us take the same examples. He plays football. Football. The action goes and ends at football. So it is the object, right? Then something that is said about the subject is object. Something that is said about. In first case, where the action ends. He plays football. Football is the object. Then in second meaning, something that is said about the subject. What is said about the subject? Rita is a beautiful girl. Beautiful girl. What is said? A beautiful girl. She is a beautiful girl. That is said about Rita, isn't it? So, girl. What girl? Beautiful girl is the object. Beautiful is, of course, an adjective. But what type of girl? Beautiful girl. Okay. So here it is. Girl is, of course, the object. She is a girl. But what type of girl? Beautiful girl. So beautiful girl is the object. Is it clear to you? Okay, fine. Then you see types, tense. Okay, let us not skip tense. Very important. Very important. Tense. Now see, on the basis of tense, we will have different types of, different rules. Okay. So while converting or changing an active voice to a passive one, we will have a particular rule, and that rule depends on tense. Okay. So transitive and intransitive, these are very important verbs. Verb is important, and subject and object, because we have to change the place of the subject and object. We must know what is. Now see, if you are given a sentence and you don't know what the subject is, where is the subject, where is the object, it will be very difficult to change that particular sentence, either to active if it is a passive voice, or to passive if it is an active voice. So similarly, we must have the idea of tense. Tense is important. Then types of sentence. Types of sentence, why? Because you will have different structure, I should say, rather than saying rule, structure, because the structure of the sentence changes. You will have different structure of the sentence for different types of sentence. So we have, different types of sentence, those. Declarative sentence. Under declarative you have affirmative sentence, negative sentence, then interrogative sentence where we put questions, isn't it? And in interrogative we have again sentences which are in fact sentence that begins with WH questions, the WH question sentences. Then we have auxiliary or model verb questions, okay, interrogative sentences. And then after interrogative we have imperative sentences. In imperative sentence, under imperative sentences we have again sentences showing advice, then sentences showing suggestions, then sentences showing commands or order, or sentences showing request, right? So we have different types of sentences. Again, after imperative we have optative sentence, right? So we need to consider all these things, right? So learning voice needs clear concept of at least these things: verb, transitive verb, subject and object, tense, and types of sentence, right? So now we will start the purpose of converting an active voice to a passive voice. Why do we need that? We will now discuss, right? So now I have written two sentences. Let us see those sentences. First one is, he plays football, right? Then the second sentence, football is played by him, right? So do you find any difference in meaning? If you ask me, what do you want to say? I would like to say that this is active voice and this one is the passive form, okay? This one is the passive voice of this sentence, if you ask me what it is. But do you find any difference in meaning between these two sentences? Think for some time. You see, if we just see simply, we don't find any difference. Okay, if you don't talk about the structure, just meaning. That is why I asked you, do you find any difference in meaning? We say no, it's not that much different, isn't it? So here we get to know that he plays football. He plays football. Okay, so every morning or every evening, or he plays football. Then the same thing, football is played by him. Okay, football is played by him. Nothing is different. Still, if there is no difference, we would not have to change it. We would not have to change it. But why have we changed it from active voice to passive voice? Here, the important thing is that in the first sentence, you see, he plays football. We are giving importance to the subject. Who plays football? Who plays football? He plays. We're not interested in football. We are not interested in football. We are interested in who plays. So that is why in active voice, the verb gives more importance to the subject. That means the subject is given importance, right? Similarly, in the second sentence, we are giving importance to football. What is played? Football, not cricket. Football. In the first sentence, he plays football, not she. So in the second sentence, we see that football is played, not cricket. So this is the purpose of changing. This is the aim of changing, I should say, an active voice to a passive one. We want to know sometimes about the subject and sometimes about the object. That is very important. Now, it is also shown there, you see. When I was talking about the second sentence, I see a change in the structure as well. How? In the first sentence, we find that in the first place it was he. In the second sentence, we find that in the second place it is football. So in the first sentence, football, as we have already discussed, football is the object because the action stops here. Football is the object. Now here in the second sentence, we find this object has taken the place of the subject he. So this is football. And he has been taken to the object's place by him. Now here the case is different. Now see, if you go to case, we will find different types of cases, like possessive case, nominative case, objective case. So different cases are there. Now he is the subjective case, that is nominative case. What is the objective case of he? Him. What is the possessive case of he? His. Okay. So in this way, we find that here the subject he is there, and it has changed the position, gone to this object's place, but with a little change. What is the change? That it has changed from subjective case to objective case. Okay, so these are the basic things that we need to understand. This was my first class video taking up, in fact, voice on voice, I should say. In the next class, that is after a few minutes, We will discuss. In fact, I will tell you the different types of rule in changing a sentence from active voice to passive voice. Okay, so till the next class, after 20 minutes, let us take a short break. Okay, we will meeting after 20 minutes. Okay.